getting after it, going up on Insta here. It's what time is it? It's 12:45. It's got to have a coffee break here. That's what we're up to today. How's everybody in the world, enjoying the day so far? It's March break. March break madness is happening. So, trying to get prepared for March break is going to be pretty interesting. Lots going on, a lot of family activities, but there's definitely going to be some interesting weather coming our way, which is going to be pretty exciting because, like, where is the weather here? I think on the weekend we're looking at Monday. It's going to be 10 degrees here in Georgetown, Ontario, which is going to be pretty incredible. So I like where things are headed, even though golf season's nowhere close. It's happening. It's happening. I haven't even spent a minute trying to get my golf game in order. Usually what I'll do is I'll start practicing putting around get one of those mats and start putting around the house. I haven't done that yet. My hands are, my putting stroke is not going to be very good, but we'll work on it. It'll be good. So I don't know, like, what's everybody getting up to this weekend as we kind of dive into March break. Now, it's funny because I was speaking to somebody about home show. The home show is going to be happening here closely. That's a great question. This weekend in Ontario, the National Home Show. And I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing during the open during March break? They're like, Darren, we don't have March break. We don't have any children. I go, well, that makes sense. Not everybody has kids who has a March break. So touche, I got that 100%. But I'm looking forward. If things go right, definitely going to make it out to the home show, because it's been. Trying to think, it's probably been a couple of years since I've been to the National Home Show, which is down at the Enercare Center, usually where it is every year. But they have a lot of stuff there. I mean, you don't have to be buying a home to go to the home show, right? All you have to do is buy some tickets and go look at some stuff. Man, there's tons down there. But what I'm most looking forward to, during this coffee break, because you got to take a break. You got to take some time. You got to have a coffee break. This is what we're doing right now. So I'm kind of getting a little fired up here. Like, this afternoon, weather is going to be a balmy 4 degrees. But what it says is that the weather is going to be melting. The snow is melting. It's going to be good. So it's, I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see where it goes from here. So, rest of the docket. What do we got today? There's lots going on here. Like, look at this. This is what I'm saying. I'm not here to talk about weather, but come on, Ontario is warming up. It's warming up. It's going to be warming up really good. Like, by tomorrow morning, we're going to be 12 degrees. I'm literally going to get in there. I'm going to start just getting things ready to go for the spring. However, still going to be cold, still going to be a little rainy, but we'll get into it. Lots going on. Good week ahead of us. What's actually happening in the real estate world right now? A lot of people wondering, it's a good question. Do people actually get to the point where there's March breaks for kids? Do people actually look at properties? And the thing is that people do. Listen, if there's an urgency for people to move during the March break, doesn't matter, kids are off or not, they're going to go look at houses. It's a supply and demand game. You're going to get out there. You're going to go look and see what's available, because it's going to fit into your budget, your market. So listen, go out, see houses. It's going to happen. March break does not slow anything down whatsoever. So, however, what it does do, and this is what I find, is that March break is almost like an interlude to the true, quote, spring market. You'll see a lot of people that will start getting their house really ready this week. Their kids are off, and start preparing it. Almost like, if we're going to list our house, it's going to be within the 3rd week of March, right, next week, or just really early April. And the only reason that is because all the snow is melted, and the house looks better. Like, listen, if you have beautiful gardens outside your house, you're like, all the key things that make your house on the exterior, really pop. A lot of people are waiting for that. However, you got to have some imagination as well. There's properties that sell in the wintertime that have all those things. So again, I just feel like March break is the time where you really start to see things really start moving forward. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Man, what is everybody doing? It's funny. You get into getting online, doing some social stuff, and you start to figure out like, hey, what should we be talking about? There's so much going on right now. I think you guys got to be a little bit more positive in your approach to the content that you produce, because if you don't, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be talking about the woe is me in the world. And listen, there's a lot of positivity that's actually happening right now. So we can focus on the good, we can focus on the bad, but it's really up to you if you want whatever you want to pick and whatever you want to choose. So I rather just go with the positivity, keep things moving, and that's why. Boom, we're doing Sunday morning. It's not even morning anyways. We're gonna do Sunday afternoon coffee. That's what we're up to. Got right now. I don't know about you guys. Everybody has a different type of coffee. I was always thinking, what's the best coffee in the world? Some people, if you're from Canada, some people call it McDonald's, some call it Tim Hortons, some call it Starbucks. For me, at home, get the espresso machine rocking, hit that latte, boom, or a Canadian Auto. That's another one that you can get into. Because who was it? Black Creek Coffee from Georgetown. They got a spot at the mall. They're doing Canadian Auto, so a little spin-off, a little espresso hot water. It's perfect. But that's the house blend that we're having today. We're into it. So let's see. I want to see what's happening in the world of real estate. As you know, Sundays are a pretty popular time in our world, which means that there's a lot of open houses that are going to be scheduled from either 1 to 3 or even 2 to 4. I always find that the reason why open houses really existed between 2 and 4 is because if you look back on kind of the evolution of how homes and how people actually would see properties, this way I think. Typical husband, wife in the 50s, 60s. This isn't accurate. This is my thoughts. I think between the 50s and 60s, husband would work, wife would stay at home with the kids. Kids would go to school. That was Monday to Friday. They had no time to look at houses. Saturday would come around. They would get everything kind of cleared out, finished, like all the meals done, like ready to go for next week. And then Sunday came around, and then Sunday was always a religious day. So in the morning they would go to church. And then there was this like almost golden hour where it was between, 12 and 4, where people didn't really have anything to do. This is a pre-internet, right? So I think that the reasons why open houses were scheduled on Sunday from 2 to 4 is because those golden hours between 12 and 4, there was nothing to do back then. So it's almost like real estate was like, what a great opportunity. We're going to market this house 2 to 4. Nobody's doing nothing, right? Let's go look at houses for 2 hours. We'll open the doors. We'll take all the friction off. And I think that's truly, when I really think about it, I think that's how open houses were actually created, was that nobody was doing anything between 12 and 4 on a Sunday back in the 50s, 60s. And as it merged into real estate really blooming and taking off in the 70s, where big brands started to come around, I mean, they just kind of stuck, So the best time to ever go to an open house is going to be between 2 to 4 on a Sunday. It trumps everything. I think it's like the Super Bowl of open houses is 2 to 4 on Sundays. I've seen it where people have done open houses from 5 to 7 on Thursdays. So trying to get people to get in, coming off work, coming down the road, they're going to go pop into an open house 5 to 7. I've seen 6 to 8 on Thursdays. That doesn't work. Listen, the thing is that if you're doing an open house on Thursdays, if somebody wants to see your house, like truly wants to see your house, they're just going to book the showing. They're going to take their agent, their friend, whoever, they're just going to see your house. So Thursdays, 6 to 8, that's been one. I've done them. They didn't work for me because I just feel like everybody's grinding out at work. They just want to get off. They just want to go home. They want to see your house to come and see it. Saturday is also a pretty popular time. I've seen 1 to 3, trying to offset the times. You know, I've seen from obviously Saturdays 2 to 4, Sundays 2 to 4. It's like back-to-back weekends. I don't know how much you need to have your house open. I don't think you need it open Saturday to Sunday. That's my own thought process. But I still think Sundays is the main event. 2 to 4 Sunday, come out and see it. That's the key time. So it's interesting. I'm going to be pretty curious to see how you can do digital open houses, or how you can actually have open houses that are online where you can somehow tour the house. I don't know. Maybe you need some like VR goggles that will help you, right? What are the the Meta? You can do virtual reality open house tours. Listen, the fact is that houses are like people. It's what's on the inside that counts. And I think that if you have a VR headset on, it's going to work, but I just don't think it's going to give you the same emotional feeling. Like you gotta smell houses. You can't just walk in them. You can't just like virtually walk in and be like, yeah, I like the space. There's like, I think what it will do, the VR process of it. So when you put the virtual reality headset on, this is probably 15, 20 years away, you will probably have emotional connection to the actual home, but there will become a time when you're just like, you're gonna need one extra step where you're gonna have to get in and you're gonna have to just feel it out. Listen, if you're buying a condo and you know how all the condo spaces are in the condo building, and every floor has the same layout, and you've been through one, I'm sure you're going to make a decision based on the visualization of the VR headset. But that's not coming anytime soon. Like it's not, it's nowhere soon. You still have to go see houses. That's why it's always like, when people are looking at homes, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen a bunch online, but I just don't want to get out. I don't want to get out, and I don't want to bother anybody. It's like, well, just go see houses. Like they're like, houses give feelings. That's the emotional, like that's the emotion that gets attached to the actual sale of the actual property, is that somebody actually emotionally connects to the actual house. And that's where they're like, yeah, I can actually visualize, see myself living here, see my kids growing up. So there's a lot of value, I think, in physically being in an actual property versus VR land. But it's way too far to talk about virtual reality, but it's certainly exciting. So as always, it's Sunday. We're having a little stop by, little coffee session, just kind of chopping it up and seeing what else is happening in the world. I know that for anybody that sees me here, I see you TikTok. Anybody that sees me here, I work in the Georgetown, Ontario real estate area. That's my like little home base. I would say that that's a good question. That's a good question. So how far is it that you actually travel out to actually help people buy or sell homes? And who was it? It was a friend of mine said that so I'm a golfer, as you can tell, Masters. If you're willing to drive about an hour away to go golf somewhere, I mean, that's a pretty good guesstimation about how far I would go. The only reason is that when you get out that far, and it really depends on who the client is and who I'm working with, but if you get out that far, it's a lot of travel and commitment, and you also have to stay on top of the market in that area. So I think that if you get further out into like if I get past Kitchener-Waterloo area, it's just too far for me. I cannot pay attention to what's happening in that market, only because if a property comes on and it's something I need to see because I need to compare it to a house that we're about to list or we're listing, it's a far commute. It's like I would say it's a 3-hour drive there and back to see one house for 15 minutes. So, you have to be you got to do your best with what you have, and you just got to be very mindful. Listen, there just comes times where property is just too far out. It's like, it's just a little too far out. I just cannot get there, but that's okay. That's why there's great agents in other pockets in Ontario, in different cities, that you can literally just get referred to, and they'll certainly help you out. That's why it's like, everybody's looking for the Google algorithm to find who the best real estate agents are. I mean, look at your real, like, your referral network. I mean, you can ask everybody until you're blue in the face on who's a great realtor. Take those names of who you get and then go interview them. Go ask them the questions. Find out what makes them tick. Why are they passionate about this business? Like, what are their strong suits? What do you think their weak points are? Like, if you're literally going to jump into the real estate market, depending wherever you are, ask for referrals and start interviewing people. There's lots of questions you can ask them. You just got to get the right questions and you get the right answers, right? There's a lot of times where sometimes the referring agents that you get don't have all the answers, but guess what? They're really motivated. They're ready to go. They're willing to ask their managers, like, hey, I've never came across that question before, but I'm certainly the guy that's willing to, or girl that's willing to go answer that for you. So let's go do that. Let me figure this out and I'll certainly get back to you, right? That's the thing is that real estate is about asking the right questions. So if you're in the beginning stages of buying a house, you're like, yeah, I'm all fired up. I'm ready to go. What's the next step? You get online, you start looking at mortgage calculators. You're like, well, how much house can I afford? The very first step, if you're buying a house, is to contact a mortgage broker. There's so many people online right now that there is a difference between a mortgage broker and a bank institution. I'll let them tell you the difference, right? But a mortgage broker can shop all the best rates, all the best products, and match you with the best one based on your credit information. So going on Google will only give you so much information. You really should contact a mortgage broker. But that's one little small step in a long process of buying a house. You just don't wake up one day and be like, hey, I want to buy a house, and next thing you know, I'm closing. It's a process. You got to educate. You got to understand each integral step. By the way, I've seen it where the very first step, right, is like, I'm going to call a mortgage broker, not an agent. But maybe you do. You call an agent because you're like, hey, what are my next steps? You call the agent, and the agent should refer you to a mortgage broker, or you take the referral that you got from your friends and you ask them, say, hey, listen, I want to buy a house. How much do you think you can afford based on all the credit information? So I've had conversations with people where they're like fired up. They got the money saved. They're ready to go. And what ends up happening was they talk to the mortgage broker. The mortgage broker says, listen, you still have some debts that you need to pay off. You pay off this credit card to increase your credit score. But you're like really, really close to being qualified for a certain amount. However, it's probably going to take you another, 5-6 months. And it could take that long. It might not take that long, but it could take that long. Where you just need a little bit more time. And I've seen so many people get discouraged because they feel like, well, Darren, I went and saw the mortgage broker, and guess what? It didn't really work for me. It didn't pan out. Like I thought I was going to get 600,000 and I didn't get 600. I got 480. Okay, well, that's a great issue. That's a great concern, because what will happen is that as you now know that you qualify for 480, we got to figure out, and by the way, all tongue in cheek, like sometimes you need a little bit more deposit. And that just could be the case where you need to pay off one bill, but then you need to also save a little bit more. And that process might take another 12 to 24 months. So now you know what it's going to take to get you to qualify into the price range. That's a good spot to be in, to know what you don't know, but now you know on what it's going to take for you to actually get to where you want to go as home ownership. So listen, don't look at talking to a mortgage broker and kind of just feel like you're getting kicked in the teeth if it doesn't work out in your favor. The fact is, you took the steps that were necessary to get in there. They're going to give you a game plan. You take that game plan, you start working through. The realtor's job really is to stay in touch with you and to making sure that, is there any additional information that they could share with you to help you along this process? Because that's all that they can do, and that's what they're there to do, right? So that in 2 years from now, or 18 months, 12 months from now, you decide that you're going to get into the market because everything aligns up with your mortgage broker. Guess what? Game on. Now you're going to go to the next step. The point of this, I won't carry on. The point is that when you buy a house, it's a succession of steps in a row, right? You got to go through the first step to the second step to the third step. If you do that, all in all, you will end up owning a home. But you got to cross each one step by step. That's the big, I say that's the coffee takeaway today. That's about as much as I can ramble on in one simple, I don't even know, 10-minute session, but it's good. It's good. So listen, if you're out and you're thinking about 2025 is the year and you want to be getting into the real estate mortgage, you want to take advantage of the low interest rates, go call a mortgage broker. I'm telling you, it's the best thing that you can possibly do. It will tell you exactly what you need to know, and which will then give you the steps to move forward. And then after that, you can call any realtor you want. But a realtor and a mortgage broker together can help you streamline this and make it super, super easy and effective. Anyways, that's enough. That's enough for today. Anyways, I'm going to enjoy this cup of coffee. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys. We'll catch you on the next coffee break.